Welcome to Drew's News, Wednesday the 17th of September 2025, where Britain isn't just following global headlines, it's making them. Between Trump's arrival in the UK, Elon Musk's call to dissolve Parliament, and Tommy Robinson's mass rally, the populist spirit is in overdrive. First up in the United Kingdom, Donald Trump has landed in the UK just days after over millions of people joined Tommy Robinson's Unite the Kingdom rally against immigration. At the rally, Elon Musk stunned Britain's political class by calling for the dissolution of Parliament, echoing populist frustrations with a system seen as broken. Trump's arrival now adds firepower, positioning him as an ally of British sovereignty and populist movements. The outlook their combined presence is likely to amplify Reform UK and grassroots voices while rattling Westminster. They're disruptors. Britain wanted courage, it got Trump-Musk tag team. Windsor Castle projection. In a late night stunt, Windsor Castle was lit up with projected images of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Police quickly intervened, arrested 4 people, but the act sparked outrage as one of Britain's most symbolic landmarks was turned into a protest screen. Expect tighter security and debate about how activists gained access to such a high-profile target. Projecting memes on Windsor is like doodling on grandma's china. Cheeky maybe, but hardly clever. In the United States, Trump strikes on cartels. President Trump announced a second strike on Venezuelan narco-terrorist vessel in international waters. According to Trump, 3 cartel members were killed. Supporters praised the move as decisive action against organised crimes, while critics warned of escalations. Expect more of these fast, unilateral strikes as Trump signals toughness on security. Trump sinks boats. Sometimes leadership is that simple. The nation continues reeling after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was gunned down while speaking at Utah Valley University. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for the suspect, whilst VP J.D. Vance hosted the Charlie Kirk show from the White House, vowing to carry on Kirk's legacy. Vandals set fire to a memorial for Charlie Kirk outside his family home while children were present. The fire was contained quickly, but the act horrified neighbours and outraged supporters. Outrage will ripple beyond his base, highlighting just how far political hatred has spiralled. Fire was meant to silence, instead it spoke louder. Kirk's voice endures in the flame. FBI Director Kash Patel said Epstein was never an FBI asset, pushing back on long-circulated theories. The EU Commission admitted COVID mRNA vaccines rolled out without complete safety data, sparking new controversy. George Zinn, who confessed to killing Kirk, has now been charged with child pornography possession. Tyler Robinson's texts confessing to Kirk's killing were released publicly. An ABC News reporter described messages between Kirk's killer and his boyfriend as touching, prompting outrage. Steve Bannon claims Dan Bongino will leave the FBI in 2 weeks. In Europe, EU officials are battling multiple crises. Hungary's veto continues to block Ukraine's accession talks, frustrating Kiev and Brussels alike. Meanwhile, Microsoft agreed to unbundle Teams from Microsoft 365 to avoid antitrust fines. The European Parliament condemned Israel's blockade of Gaza, citing famine conditions while Sweden pledged to raise military spending to 2.8% of GDP by 2026. The outlook: the EU faces strain as it juggles enlargement, big tech regulation and foreign policy crisis. Brussels' unofficial motto: progress pending member approval. In Iraq, authorities uncovered a plot to assassinate Patriotic Union of Kurdistan leader Pavel Talabani, which security forces shot down a drone near Baghdad's Green Zone. In Kabbalah, millions gathered peacefully for Arbeen, one of the world's largest pilgrimages. Meanwhile, Hyundai signed a $3.1 billion contract for a seawater treatment plant to support oil production. Iraq shows flashes of modernization even as instability and fractional rivalries remain. Iraq lives in two worlds: billion-dollar contracts by day, drone alerts by night. In Vietnam's budget carrier Vietjet is finally set to receive its first Boeing 737 MAX after years of delays, boosting US-Vietnam trade ties. A viral video mischaracterized a Hanoi parking lot fire as a Cambodian disaster, stoking misinformation in the region. Meanwhile, air pollution in Ho Chi Minh City spiked, prompting health warnings, and descendants remain barred from re-entering the country. The outlook: Vietnam seeks global integration but continues battling disinformation and urban pressures. Vietnam's skies are opening with Boeing, but its citizens are still choking on the smog. Zimbabwe faces a worsening HIV/AIDS crisis after US funding cuts, leaving vulnerable groups without critical support. Meanwhile, trade ties with Tanzania are expanding ahead of the African Nordic Summit. At home, President Mnangagwa celebrated his 83rd birthday, drawing both celebration and criticism. Growth projections look positive, but public health and governance remain major hurdles. Leaders may cut cakes, but people need bread. Stability remains elusive. In Australia, 2 earthquakes rattled New South Wales, sparking alarm and thankfully causing little damage. Meanwhile, Australia's beef industry is booming thanks to Trump's tariffs. Erin Patterson was sentenced to 33 years for her deadly mushroom poisoning case, and Melbourne tram drivers are headed to Vienna for the first World Tram Driver Championship. Australia's economy is robust even as odd headlines dominate. Earthquakes, beef and tram driver Olympics only in Australia. Flying to Canada, Air Canada flight attendants rejected a proposed wage deal, sending their dispute to arbitration. A Manitoba school went into lockdown after a parent assaulted staff and threatened police. At the border, authorities intercepted over 2,000 pounds of cocaine and meth in vehicles arriving from Michigan. Labour strife and border security dominate Canadian headlines this week. Canada's usually calm waters just got a Hollywood action script. India participated in Zapad 2025 military drills with Russia and Belarus, raising eyebrows in Washington. Meanwhile, New Delhi described recent trade talks with the US as positive. Domestically, protests erupted after a 19-year-old NEET aspirant was murdered in Gorakhpur. And on the cricket field, India crushed Pakistan in the Asian Cup, with captain Surya Kumar Yadav dedicated the win to Pulwama victims. India continues balancing ties between Moscow and Washington while dealing with domestic unrest. Over to tech and speech. Bill Gates pushes AI censorship. Bill Gates has urged that AI should be used to police misinformation online. He described it as striking a balance on free speech, but critics say it's technocratic code for silencing dissent. Gates suggested AI could enforce narratives on vaccines, elections and governance more consistently than humans. Expect this to fuel debate about big tech's role in shaping speech. The real misinformation is pretending citizens can't think for themselves. Gates trusts code over people. Now, Elon Musk, by contrast, has doubled down on running X as a free speech first platform, resisting pressure from regulators and advertisers alike. Musk rejects Gates' model as elitist censorship and frames X as the global test case for openness. X will remain in regulators' crosshairs as long as Musk resists content policing. Gates wants referees, Musk wants a street fight. The world must choose who calls the rules of discourse. It's time for Bill Gates versus Musk. The world feels restless. Britain looks to outsiders for courage. America mourns a fallen activist. Europe fights over enlargement. And Asia's balances traditions with ambition. And above it all, the fight over who controls speech. People or algorithms could shape not just politics, but the very future of public life. You decide. But really, you do decide. As Charlie says, we need governance, not governments. And that's it for today's Drew's News. Raw, unfiltered and hopefully more exciting than whatever Parliament was doing today. The world may be on fire, but at least we've got front row tickets. Stick with Drew's News. We'll keep bringing the popcorn and the headlines. Want to keep this circus going? Back me on Patreon, and don't worry, the content stays free. Have a beautiful day, guys. God bless. See you for now. Bye bye.